right, how's everybody doing? So for how many of you is the first time in DC? Oh, good. God, so much is about to happen. I'm so excited. So I'll tell you a little bit about me. So I know one of the things that Misha said is that she said when she was growing up, she couldn't wait to become an adult. I kind of want to go back and be you all again. And I say that for a number of different reasons, and you'll hear why. And so most of my career I've spent in the context of sport. And you know, sport has been used forever, so many years, as an opportunity to affect social change, right, in so many different areas. And so when I think about this movement that I'm going to talk about, I think about the power of young people and the voices of young people. And that can't be taken lightly. And so really, why Unicef, right? Why Unicef? Why did I come to Unicef? Well, it's not about just providing healthcare, nutrition, and clean water, and education and protection. It's really about empowering children to have a voice in what's happening in their own lives and the lives of those in their communities. And so it's because of those voices and that impact that you all will have that change will happen. And so we talk about this movement, but what is a movement, right? And so the way I define a movement is it's when people galvanize together to advance change, right? You think about movements, the Me Too movement, the women's movement, right? These are movements that people have come together and have said, what? Enough, in some way, right? And this is going to be what you all are doing. So fasten your seatbelts. And so I'll tell you a little bit, just to step back. So for a large part of my career, I spent on college campuses, right? And I worked with coaches and administrators. Anybody play sport in high school even? Right, everybody plays sport. No matter, even if you're a ballerina, you're an athlete. But when you play sport on a college campus and when you work with teams, a lot of times we'd hire coaches and they'd come in and they'd inherit these losing programs. And so every year or every fall, student athletes would come in. A whole new crop of student athletes would come on campus. And for the most part, you didn't know what you were getting, right? You'd get student athletes that practice all summer and they're in incredible shape. You got student athletes that took the time to lose weight and bulk up, kind of like me. And then you'd have student athletes where we're kind of in between. But those are the things you knew just by sight, right? But here's something you didn't know. You didn't know who was going to emerge to be the leader. That was just the unknown, right? Because that's about wiring. And for me, sitting amongst you all, I am really excited because each and every single one of you are leaders in your own right. And so we're starting a movement with people who are just primed to do the work that we need to do. And that's huge and it's incredibly exciting. So let's talk about what this is, right? So I'll give you some frame around it. This movement is around galvanizing Americans to put children first and to make this world a safe place for every child. No matter if you're here, you're overseas, no matter where you are as a young person, as a child, we want you to be safe, right? And we're focusing in on 3 pillars: protection, survival, and development. For 70 years, UNICEF has worked toward these outcomes, and we stood for the voice of children and amplifying the voices of children. And that's what we're going to do as part of this movement. It begins with each and every one of you and how you amplify your voices in those communities. A couple of data points. Over 800 children die every day from unclean, unsafe water, poor sanitation, poor hygiene. Think about that. One of them could be president of their own country. 2.1 billion people have no safe drinking water in their homes. And this is the stuff we take for granted here, right? Every 5 minutes, a child dies as a result of violence. Approximately 1 billion children worldwide have experienced physical, sexual, or psychological violence in the past year. 264 million children around the world are out of school and 250 million children don't have basic literacy or numeracy skills. Just think about that, right? And so this movement is focused on empowering young people in their own communities. We're going to give you the tools to go back to your own communities and make a change for the better, and teach others how to make a change and mobilize, and that's how it's done. When you think about movements of the past, those movements started in church basements, right? They started in the basements of homes, in gyms, in classrooms. When you think about what's going on in this country right now and the fact that young people are taking over where the adults have lost their way, that is saying a lot. And so you all couldn't be in a better position to start a movement that is focused on making the world a safe place for children. So how are you going to do it? You're going to use social media? I know everybody, that's probably the number one reason why my kids call me Krusty. Because they've said, when you start using certain types of social media, we realize that it's time for us to find another platform. I'm like, wait, what? Krusty in the house. So that's one of the ways you're going to use your voices, and you're going to advocate around issues in your own communities. And we want to hear from you. This weekend, you're going to hear from speakers, a variety of different speakers, and we want you to take something from every single one of them that you can bring back to your communities. We want you to organize yourselves, engage your communities around the issues, and sustain the strength of your voice. Realize that no matter where you are, no matter how soft your voice is or how bold your voice is, you deserve a voice. And it's your world. And you need to own that. And don't let anybody make you question it. When you build a movement, this is really important. When you build a movement, there you have to start. This is something that Arthur Ashe always said. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. And when you're building a movement, you have to be strong. You have to be willing to be unpopular. You have to be willing to say no matter who it inconveniences, right? You need to be willing to be unpopular. And there will always be naysayers, people that drop out, get frustrated, things are taking too long, movements take time. Don't worry about the naysayers. Stay the course and think about what you're doing it for. That's the power of a movement. And the movement is only as good as the strength of the people who are moving forward with it and affecting change, and that's you. And so think about, when you start something, think about that end goal, right? When I'm dead and gone and I'm crusty, truly crusty, I'm expecting that you all are continuing to fuel the movement that will make the world a safe place for each and every one of you and each and every one of your children. Because that's the kind of world that every child, no matter where they're born, deserves. Thank you.